It is August 7th. It's 9:45 a.m. I'm in zone 6B and it's 73 degrees. So what I'm going to do here is just walk through this little container garden real quick and just show you guys what's going on here, because I haven't given you guys a tour of the garden lately. July was kind of my month where I pruned a lot of things back. Some things were experiencing a lot of stress from the heat. And then some things were bolting, and then some things I just needed to cut because a lot of times, you know, your perennial herbs especially will improve with a good pruning. So I'll just show you some real quick. This is the Cuban oregano, and it's a nice little plant. It's starting to show some signs of stress from the heat. Some of the leaves are starting to kind of yellow a little bit, and the tips are turning kind of pink. And this is the first year I've grown this plant, but I think that's a sign of stress when the tips are turning a little bit pink. Don't know yet, but I think that's the problem with it. Marigold mint's drying up on me a little bit there, so I might just go ahead and cut that back too. I did have to cut back the Spicy Glow basil. That's more of a Greek basil. I did get to use it a few times before it started to bolt on me, so we'll see how that does. I don't have high expectations for it at this point, but it might come back pretty good. Greek myrtle seems to really love the heat. And then this is a curry plant. And here are some of my basils, and I told you in my other tour of my garden that I had an attack from Japanese beetles on my basils. So I've cut off a lot of the damage on here. I don't know how they're going to do at this point. That's why I always try to plant a lot of basil or any kind of herb that I want to grow a lot of. I plant it in several different locations. You could put some in, if you want to do that, you could put some inside. You could put some on your front porch. If you don't have a big yard or another garden, you know, all you have is a container garden, just try to plant it different places so that when those tomatoes start ripening up in your area, you'll have wonderful basil to use with it. And this is the Kaffir lime tree. It loves the heat, and it's showing just a lot of signs of new growth, which is great. Another Kaffir lime tree. This is probably its second year now, and I'm growing these from seed. Y'all know that. It's doing real well. It's really shot up a lot this year. And then this is sweet laurel. Your bay leaves right there, so that's looking pretty good. And then another plant. This was attacked by the Japanese beetles. I pruned it back a little bit, and so it's starting to show some signs of new growth. I'm not really using them at this point. They just don't look very good to me, so I'm just leaving them in the pot. And then up here I have the lemongrass. I always have a backup for my lemongrass. And this little orange tree, I have kind of been ignoring it, but it's got little tiny oranges on it. And this is the French tarragon. This is an example of one that I pruned back heavily, and I had a lot of French tarragon, a lot of fun using it over the past month. This is the real Kaffir lime tree, and I've got a huge project to do later, and that would be moving it possibly into this pot. I don't know, this is a really big container. I bought this the other day, but it was the last one. It's at Lowe's, and they have their really big containers right now half off. So you know how it is when it's the last one and it's on clearance, you've got to go ahead and get it. I knew I could take it back if it ended up being too big, and now I'm comparing the sizes. I mean, this will fit through my door, so I can bring in my tree in the winter, but I've got some decisions to make. And then over here, just some galangal. That's my backup galangal plant. Some cilantro, green onion, some more cilantro, and then another basil. Back over here is my lime thyme. It's looking pretty good. Got a lot of new growth on it there. And then nasturtiums. This was another one that I pruned back, and it's starting to show some nice signs of new growth, a lot of blossoms. That's the Alaska mix right there. And then I also grew a climbing variety, and that's this one here. And everything looks to be doing pretty well. I sprinkled out some more seeds for Siam Queen basil, which I need to thin. You can see how closely those are all planted together, so I'm going to have to thin those out a little bit. Back here is a broken fountain. I'll tell you a funny story. I went to clean this fountain. It was just dirty. That water was filthy, and I was going to dump it over the side of the deck over here. So, you know, I picked that thing up, and out came wasps swarming. There was a nest underneath that fountain, and so I dropped that thing quicker than anything. Lightning, I know, lightning quick, and I ran inside, and those darn things, I broke my fountain when I did that, but at least I didn't get stung by about 100 wasps. There's one running around right there. I can't stand those things. I've already gotten stung this year, and they hurt. Okay, and this is the basil that I planted from seed. Oh gosh, how long has that been now? I have it in my other videos, but I think it was early June. Anytime you grow these purple basils, this is called Red Freddy, when it gets really hot, those bottom leaves are going to start to fade on you. So it doesn't look real pretty as far as the color, unless you like that. I mean, it's kind of pretty actually in a way, but that's to be expected with those purple basils. And then you have, I have my Greek oregano. Back here is the mint, some sage, and some chives. The African blue basil, which I pruned back, and then rosemary, which requires a lot of water, a lot like the mint does, and then the parsleys. They're doing pretty well. And behind here I have Protected from the Sun, another echinacea plant that I planted from seed. So my job today is I just want to take a closer look at my plants, just like I did in early spring. I showed you guys that in a container garden. I think it was called a 7 tips for your container garden. I need to look at my plants closer, figure out which ones are showing signs of stress from the sun, which ones are drying out quickly, and I need to move them over here. That's one thing that's really nice about a container garden, is you can kind of be in control of how much sun they get. So since it's heating up, it's August, it's going to be a hot month, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'll leave my heat-loving ones over here on the left. The tarragon and the galangal, the green onion, and the cilantro, all of these are over here. And it's not because they're heat-loving plants, but it's because that lime tree right there shades them. So they get ample shade, and they get a little bit of sunlight. So it's perfect for them to be on this side because of the tree. But it's not something I would not normally have those plants on this side of the deck. Okay, so that's my tips for Zone 6B. Hope that helps you guys to evaluate and look at your own container gardens. Thanks so much for watching, and y'all have a beautiful day.